everyone, welcome to my art channel where we do painting tutorials, and today I thought I'd do an easy beginner-friendly watercolor pencils landscape. So I start by taping down my paper with some masking tape, and I take an additional piece that I'm going to place at about 1/3 of the page. That way I can paint carelessly the top of the sky without worrying that it's going to get onto the lake we're going to have on the bottom side. So I start by coloring the bottom of the sky, especially the bottom right corner, with some cadmium orange. Then I place some dark yellow around the orange. As I move up, I'm using less and less pressure, and on top of the dark yellow, I just use some cadmium yellow. Again, I use less pressure as I move up, and then I take my helium blue radish, which is the darkest blue I have in this set, and I focus it especially on the top left corner because I want my sky to be more on the dramatic side, so I want to be more diagonal. That way we have the blue in one corner and the orange in the other corner, in the opposite corner. Between the dark blue and the yellow, I add a bit of light ultramarine just to have a medium tone there, so it does not look white once I activate everything. I take my watercolor pen brush and I start blending the orange first. I go from the dark orange towards the yellow a couple of times to make sure it's smooth, but if you have some streakiness, that's perfectly fine. I'm going for a dramatic sunset here, so streakiness is perfect if you get that. Then I clean my brush thoroughly and I blend from the light ultramarine towards the dark blue. I clean the brush again and then I unite the cadmium yellow where I apply the least pressure with the light ultramarine, just a tiny bit, because if we thoroughly mix them going from the bottom upwards, from the yellow towards the blue without stopping between the two main color schemes, yellow and blue make green, and we're going to end up with a green sky. I fix any tiny pieces of white that are left over, and while the sky dries, I take off that middle section piece of tape right there, and I'm going to work on the sea. So I'm going to be mirroring the same colors I used for the sky. I apply my cadmium orange on the top right side of the sea. That way it's a perfect mirror to where I placed the orange in the sky. And I'm going to use the dark blue on the bottom left side of my sea, sandwiching the orange. For the sea, it's perfectly fine if some of the colors overlap. We don't need it to be as smooth as the sky. And I'm applying some of the ultramarine between the orange and the blue. Then I take my watercolor brush and I'm very loosely holding it between my fingers and my knuckles, just enough so it does not fall across the desk. I'm not squeezing this at all, just holding it so it does not fall. And I go left to right horizontally, not diagonally this time. I'm going horizontally, and it's perfectly fine if the brush skips some bits. It's just going to give us some very easy highlights and water sparkles. And it's okay if some of the blue ends up on top of the orange. It does not matter for this. Once everything has dried, I take my helium blue radish and I sketch a very basic mountain shape over the lake overlapping with the sky. If drawing is not your thing, there is going to be a traceable available on my Patreon page, Sunshine Arts, and like always, all of the supplies will be listed down below. So I sketched my basic mountain shape and I start by coloring in the top edge first because I want my tops to be the mostly saturated areas, and then get a bit lighter as we move downwards. Then I blend using the same exact principle. I start from the top, from the edge of the mountains, because I want that to be the most saturated and crisp lines we get. And then for the bottom, I just very loosely blend it with the brush. The top of the mountain will end up looking a bit gray and the bottom will be a bit orange because we used yellow for the top of the sky, yellow and blue make green, and for the bottom we used orange, orange and blue make gray, but that is perfectly fine. I do not mind that. I actually like it, so that's why I chose to do it this way. Once that mountain has fully dried, I take my helio blue again and I sketch another mountain on the right side. I'm using more pressure this time to get more saturated and more on the blue side, because the closer something is to us, the darker it gets. Then with barely any water on my brush, I like to tap it first on a napkin to pick up any excess water that may have flown to the bristles. Because this is a reservoir brush and it holds the water in the handle, so even if I leave it and do nothing with it, the tip is still going to be a bit damp. That's why when I'm painting details or saturated objects, I like to first just dab it on a napkin to make sure there is no excess water in it. So I activate the mountain from the top towards the bottom, crisp line, and then I sketch another mountain on the left side, this time same exact technique. I first do the outlines and then color it in rather thickly. Then I take my brush and activate from the top, from the edge of the mountain downwards. I actually recently found this reservoir brush, which was my favorite brush, but I lost it because I moved houses, so I was just decluttering last week and found it. It made me remember why I love it so much. I love how saturated it makes the colors. It makes painting a bit more effortless than using a normal wooden handle brush. You can obviously use a normal brush, but in my opinion, a reservoir one just makes life so much easier. While the mountains dry, I take the same light ultramarine I used for the sky and I bottom line some streakiness I got on the sky. I wanted to make it look like dramatic loose clouds, so just very lightly sketch beneath any streakiness you have, and on the top I do some random circular scribbles with my orange. Then I take off that middle piece. Again, I had placed it just not to mess up the scene while painting the mountains. And I take my dark blue and randomly scribble beneath the mountains to get some shadows right there. And I'm going to add a couple of seagulls in the sky because why not? Lastly, just slowly peel off the tape, and that is it. I hope you found this video useful. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters for the month of August, and thank you all for watching. We'll see each other in the next one. Bye bye!